Hey peeps, PheenX here, and we're continuing on with the Gray State's Attorney. Last time, we thought we were making progress, and we ended up just digging ourselves a deeper hole. So, let's see if we can climb ourselves out of that hole. Kazuma. He's dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph that detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. As soon as I figure out how to word properly. Sorry about that.
It seems you will be able to report to the British government on time after all.
That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, after considering all the evidence placed before me, I hereby
Yes!
Hey, we got the good desk slapping. Wait, Your Excellency. Ryunosuke? I don't think you can rule on this case yet.
Objection! This amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom. Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection! This is a blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There could be no problem with this evidence.
You better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Wait.
Ha! My thoughts exactly! Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes.
Yes, I'm desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph that just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well. I will grant the defense one final opportunity.
What?
But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hasanaga submitted before. You will identify the court where in this print we see the significant detail to which you have alluded. Well, if I'm being honest, just out of curiosity, this really is a grasp at straws. It's like, what does that mark mean? Like, anything here, it's not really I'm actually in a bind. I don't know. I'm gonna go with it.
Yes!
Oh, thank you. Look at this here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. Looks almost like a burn of some description. Wait a minute.
Objection! Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come out with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag.
Yes, that is a burn mark. You're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noticed it when he was performing the post-mortem examination. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. You are digging up a lot of stuff that doesn't seem to be related.
What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either.
The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as prosecutor Ochi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Wait a minute. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the Dean and the other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Hold on a second. No, I'm not seeing anything exact. But that is a very specific mark. I'm not finding anything to match with it. But I am curious about the... Hello.
Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway.
What do you think on this, Rinosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging and hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right.
I am?
If we can just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again.
Just give up, Counsel! You can't possibly hope to do that!
Indeed. I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than a conjecture. But if we had any evidence that irrefutably linked this burn to the victim's wrist on the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I had noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really? I had to find some link between that burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. I think I have to present this. Because I think that pin right there might be what's causing it. Just to be safe, I'm going to examine everything. Hello!
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at the scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore.
Do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be inexcusable.
Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer, if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have the unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here, forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy! If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is in this photograph that explains the reason for the victim's burn?
Why was the victim on this side?
Yes!
The beefsteak?
Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah!
Your Excellency, are you alright?
As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnaval.
Oh,
The emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape.
ah!
Ryunosuke, you're a genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered his burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that's the case, we can't know if it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time.
Well,
Objection!
sadly, Prosecutor Aochi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks.
Why?
The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hasanaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster. Certainly.
But...
I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long. And although it's not particularly a large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defense just pointed out. This was not a mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. The plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade. Burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds.
It's inconceivable that a victim would have let out a scream of pain then.
I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I have not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnaval, I can testify to that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Wait,
Yes!
maybe he is a neutral party in all this. There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hasanaga never heard the professor scream. Not on that day or any before that. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day,
That would be beyond careless, I think, counsel.
then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antique dealer, all of us would, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ochi?
Well, yes, I suppose.
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? I almost don't believe it, Ryunosuke. Do you think? he was dead when he came into the restaurant. Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. It would explain why there was 2 guns, apparently. The fact that everything was just sort of left behind. The fact that she had a bag perfectly showing everything. This was premeditated. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson, he was already dead. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation.
Counsel, are you suggesting?
Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead.
Already?
Dead?
Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead.
That's madness!
Order! Order! Order, please! Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right! That's absolutely right, Your Excellency! This is just another ridiculous ploy by the virtue student! But clearly, he has no grasp of the facts!
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchi, it's you who has no grasp of the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from the witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it.
Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But, Your Excellency...
Justice system in our country may be in its infancy, but rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be dispelled before I am prepared to pass judgment.
Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile?
Yes, of course. I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours.
Ah! Miss Brett! You speak
Japanese.
Well, of course I do. I'm studying in your country after all.
But why have you been speaking through an interpreter until now?
My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world.
I am definitely not doing an English accent, but we'll roll with it.
As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I shall have to lower myself to communicating with you all on your own level.
Oh, well, you are the epitome of true English gentlewoman. We are truly honored by this. This lavish consideration you shall graciously afford us.
I see. In that case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify in your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson.
So,
we're finally going to hear our own words on the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke.
Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist like that. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I had raised our glasses in a toast. As far as I heard, the post-mortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides the gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please do show me. But of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick up on it anyway.
Wow. Bit of a rude one, isn't she?
Not most captivating, beautiful testimony will go down in Supreme Court's history. Thank you.
Easy does it.
I hope that it's the last time I will have to sully my lips with the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone.
Not at all, not at all. It is a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant.
I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what has happened here today.
Minister of Justice?
May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen.
Huh? Thanks? Was that a prayer then? Well, you have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with the cross-examination now. I expect you notice that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much.
I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination in this trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with this witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear?
Woof! Yes, Your Excellency.
Then you may proceed with the cross-examination.
Bring it on. Okay. So, for the most part, I'm gonna press on these.
Yes!
But his hand was on the sewing up plate for at least 3 whole seconds. You can't not have noticed.
Do you think so? Let me ask you something.
Sorry?
Ever since I arrived at this courtroom, and even still now, the fly on those unsightly black trousers of yours has been wide open. You can't not have noticed, can you?
Huh? What? Ugh!
Oh, what fun! You hadn't realized.
The dear lady is absolutely right.
As your friend, you've embarrassed me as well as yourself, Ryunosuke. Why didn't you tell me?
Dr. Wilson was a true English gentleman. He chose honorable silence over a vulgar scream. Can your tiny brains imagine such a thing?
Oh yes, I think my tiny brain can.
Well, I can't.
Anyway,
Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that one. Wait, whoa, hold on. Actually, we're gonna press on this just to be safe.
Yes!
As you testified before, you were drinking carbonated water. Is that right?
Dr. Wilson was only permitted to drink water at the time, if you remember. Which explains why he ordered that drink. Correct, waiter?
Exactly as you say, sir. Although
Although?
whether or not the professor actually drank any of the water when I delivered the steak to the table, I'm afraid I don't remember that. Damn you.
I have enough English to understand that. At least, for the benefit of the others in the court, it means bless you.
I think it means the exact opposite. He is a neutral party. I thought he was siding with her the whole time, but it's clear enough he's just doing his job. I'm just doing this just to check. Because did not pass through the victim's body. Okay.
Yes!
Yes, it's written here in the paperwork. Fatal hemorrhaging from ballistic trauma.
Yes.
Luckily for all of us, a little burn on the wrist isn't going to kill us. And as there were no other signs of trauma on the victim's body to indicate some other cause of death, it could only have been the bullet from your gun that put an end to this innocent man's life.
But it doesn't make sense! The burn must have happened straight away, when the plate was first brought to the table by the waiter. Yes, that's true. If it had cooled even slightly, it wouldn't have been able to make a burn like that. And if the victim burnt his wrist on the hot plate as soon as it was brought out from the kitchen, then he must have already been dead at that point.
Objection!
And yet, the fact is that the victim was killed by a gunshot to the chest. So you're able to show the court evidence to disprove that? This is a complete waste of time!
I concur. Prosecutor Ouchie is right.
Ah! Wait a minute. I know this is dumb, but I want to read through this. So he couldn't feel anything. Holy crap.
Yes!
Without leaving a trace.
If someone is shot, or strangled, or stabbed, or thrown from a height, however a person's life is taken, there are always telltale traces on the body.
Quite right, dear lady. And as our police force has thoroughly examined the body of the deceased, there could be no doubt. Isn't that the right, Inspector Hasanaga?
As I've said, I always aim for a flawless investigation. There would be physical traces with all those causes of death, that's true. But maybe there's some other way of killing someone that doesn't leave a mark.
If, heaven forbid, you doubt me, young man, you're going to have to tell everyone how exactly you think the professor did use his life. Otherwise, I'm afraid your argument falls by the flat, doesn't it?
Oh, perish the thought, calling such a sweet young lady's innocent in question. On my honor, I, Taketsui Atri, will cut down any who dare cast his aspirations.
A way of killing someone that leaves no trace. We need some evidence to back us up here. Yes, evidence. So hear me out on this. This is crazy.
Yes!
Dang it. Okay, it was too crazy. Again, I kind of got lit up by the whole no pain. Sorry. I'll press on the last thing then.
Yes!
Inferior? What do you mean by that?
In the lands of the Great British Empire, the police store everything from the crime scene for later examination. But in this country, you investigate once and that's the end of it. Isn't that so?
Quite right. La Carnival is open for business as usual today, just days after the incident.
Exactly, which means that even if the investigative takes the definitive direction,
Whoa, what was that?
vital evidence may be lost. It doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try and preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful about this as I can, you understand?
Haha, killer blow! The lady is so formidable and she is beautiful.
Amazing. He's actually admitting our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Aoji is finally starting to see sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett just said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. How do I tackle that? What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think it's going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected. She's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break your testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But that would mean I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us find a chink in her armor. Kazuma. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her. Inspector Hasanaga. The detective? Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Barrett's last statements. I was wondering if it might be significant, if it might present an opening. Maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing on that last statement one more time. If you think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then. Wonder what Kazuma's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose. Once I press Miss Brett on her last statement again.
Yes! Wait.
How do I talk to... Oh, ha! Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been on the stand with Miss Brett as their interpreter. But things are very different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what the Englishwoman has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right. Look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man and his train of thought. Sorry? Pursue? I'll explain how to do it now, Ryunosuke. It's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who is the person actually making the current statement. But by moving the marker left and right with A and D, you can turn your attention to other people in the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with space. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information to pursue. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people in the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I should move the marker across and focus on the detective. Then pursue him and see what's on his mind. Here we go.
Wait. Excuse me.
What's the meaning of this? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts. Deeply. Looked like you were thinking something just now, Inspector. Perhaps haven't heard what the lady next to you had to say? If there's something you'd like to say, please share it with the court.
Objection!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault with the testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately.
Is that how it works? Absolutely not.
Huh?
detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yeah, not to mention the fact that he's intently involved in this case.
Inspector Asanaga,
Yes.
do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by Miss Brett?
Well, yes, if you don't mind, I would like to speak. The lady is right. Our country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain, which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you really mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking on my watch. I'm not afraid to take everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed for what I've done. Oh no. A crime scene thief?
Well, looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there.
Take this, for example. Is that? This is the bottle of carbonated water that I took from the victim's table on the day in question. And yes, it's lost all of its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago now. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's some left in the bottle. I can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. The time is coming. I guarantee it.
I can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. Court will accept the glass bottle of water as evidence. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle from which you drank from the day of the victim's death?
Yes, it was that bottle.
What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question.
Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control his fervor.
I think I know what's going on. But I'm gonna examine this. The label's written in a foreign language that I don't recognize. Do you know what it says, Cosmo? I think it's French.
This must be very expensive water.
Yeah, but what does it say? That's what I was asking.
Then go to France and ask.
You could just say that you don't know. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson ever had.
Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, though it's just plain water now.
You know, I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. I'll just have a sip of this to keep me going.
No, Rinosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence.
Oh no, you're right. We don't know what might be inside, do we?
Never cease to amaze me, Rinosuke. More ways than one.
I wonder, could there be anything in this water?
What's the matter? You got quiet all of a sudden.
I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Let's back it up then. God, I keep doing that.
Yes!
What is this? A bottle of water?
Actually, there is one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison.
Poison?
On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from his bottle of carbonated water. Could it be that there was a poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass?
Order! Order! Order!
And on that day, who was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink? There's only one person who could have possibly done it. Giselle Brett, it was you!
Objection!
This is outrageous! To suggest such a thing would scrap at evidence! You're a little rookie imbecile! Have you even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in now? Have you forgotten that we have only just signed an accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you even the vaguest inkling that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one individual's guilt with respect to one crime.
What?
The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We're here to determine the truth.
Ahem, if I may.
I will silence you forever for this disgraceful...
It is you who should be silent.
Of course. Dear lady...
Where did that come from? She just snapped.
I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offer my most humble apologies.
I'm sorry, milady. To what are you referring?
I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, you still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, I mean, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not.
Asanaga. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten what my guiding principle is already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Naturally, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents.
And? What did you find, Inspector?
I ordered tests for every toxin that's available in this country at the present time. We can find no trace of poison of any description in the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No! No!
I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You successfully established my complete innocence in this horrifying affair. Thank you.
But of course, dear lady, the pleasure was all ours.
I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if he was poisoned.
Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, a shot to the chest from the gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit.
Done for.
Court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience this has caused you, Miss Brett.
Oh no, I'm just glad the matter is resolved.
Before proceeding, I must ask counsel for the defense. Do you have any further new evidence to present the court at this point?
Kazuma. I'm sorry, Rinosuke. I have nothing more.
Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Whoa. Oh. Hello.
Please, wait.
Isn't that...
What's the meaning of this?
Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susanoo Mikotaba, judicial assistant to the defense.
Mikotoba? In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package wrapped in a furoshiki cloth.